Hey guys, Ryan Bidoff here, blogging from paradise. Let me shut off some of these. Cancel some of these browsers. I just want to share some thoughts on content. And before we dive in, you could stop by bloggingfromparadise.com for smart blogging tips. Also sell online courses for bloggers and ebooks for bloggers, premium resources. So you click on the store tab and you'll find a cool ebook or two, well, one actually, on travel, being a full-time digital nomad, and also an inspirational read based on my experience. So guys, I just wanted to share a few practical thoughts about content and how you want to think first and foremost about the pure usefulness and practicality of the content. Now this basically means share practical, usable, helpful tips through your content first and foremost. Make that the focus, so when you publish the content and readers digest the post, they can understand it fairly easily and then use that content practically to improve their lives, to benefit from the content. That's your prime focus. That's number one. Then you want to think about sticking with long form content just because that tends to rank better. Now you'll also see shorter posts on page one. The whole lollipop gang's here today, huh? What's up, Ola? Got Moxie, you got Lily, the whole crew. But generally speaking, 1,200 to 1,500 words, what I deem long-form content, tends to not only rank better on Google, but generate more organic traffic through different channels, just because there's a general, typical, basic agreement between bloggers and readers, predominantly, that if you jam-pack a series of practical steps or tips or reasons into a blog post, 1,200, 1,500 words, could be 2,000 or a little bit more, but I focus on 12 to 15. That's kind of in my sweet spot, what I teach bloggers. That's kind of where it's at. Kinda. You can go a little shorter, but I'd stick with a little more commitment to the content. You will tend to attract more committed readers, more loyal followers, customers and clients too, but you got to think about the practical tips first, guys, and start with that, because you have all these bloggers that get a word count in their mind and they jam filler into a post, stuffing, a lot of uselessness, a lot of worthless content. And I'm not saying that in condemning nasty fashion, but there's not a lot of worth, practical tips, benefits. That's the most important step you have to follow. You have to publish something. Think of when people visit Google. So they Google something because they want to find information on that topic. And in a lot of cases, it's how to. How do I do this? Let me go to Google. Here are the practical steps to do this. This is how you do it. That's what you want to make your blog. Depending on the niche, it might vary somewhat, but as a blogging tips blogger, I advise that you share how-to with practical tips. It's why people use Google. It's why a lot of people use social media on some level. There's also a lot of distracting going on here. But when they turn to it for content to learn, people find your updates. Would find you maybe on Reddit or Quora. You're answering questions related to your blogging niche. How to is it, and you share how to by listing steps, tips, techniques, tactics, strategies first and foremost. Then you set up your outline. You have that focus. You have your outline set up. Then you want to reach that word count of maybe 1,200, 1,500 words or a little bit more. In that ballpark. So the issue is starting with the word count. Bloggers are just thinking, I just have to write 1,500 words, or I have to write 1,200 words. Well, let's say 1,500. So then you have bloggers create these thin, weak, not helpful, not practical, not useful posts that never rank and never drive much organic traffic at all. And it's because they're focusing on a word count, a post length, almost exclusively or predominantly, without thinking about putting practical tips that readers can digest and use to benefit from, to improve their lives. That's it. Got to be practical. Practical content wins. That's what ultimately will accelerate your blogging success more than any other factor. The content, but it's got to be practical for a lot of niches. Practical, usable. People read, they follow the 5 steps, the 10 tips, the 7 strategies, the 4 tactics, the 7, 8 techniques, and they use them, or maybe just a few, but they use them for themselves and they benefit and they say, oh, these tips work. Whammo. Then they come back to your blog and they're like, Ryan really knows his stuff. They might say it, they might drive referral traffic, referral business, and you have yourself a successful blogging strategy. Boom. Because it's practical, because it's useful. You proved yourself useful through your content. But you got to share a lot of practical tips. Just got to do it. Share what you know. Share your experience. Be practical. Be practical. What could people read and use to help them? Very actionable, very useful. Always think that first and foremost. Then when you are in that proper frame of mind where you're sharing these practical tips or steps, then you do want to flesh it out because you want something relatively thorough as the world judges it. A resource. Something that readers can come back to and study and use. Use all of it, or maybe just a paragraph, maybe just one tip or technique or strategy. But that's how you develop the reputation of being a highly, truly helpful blogger through your content. And then from there, you'll go and gain a loyal following, you'll grow a loyal following, and you will accelerate your success. It's going to happen. So first word count, put it behind. Put it in the back of your mind, not the word count. Don't focus on that. Focus on sharing practical, usable, beneficial tips. That's your focus. You'll set up your outline, blog post title, and you set up your outline, and okay. And then you flesh it out. Then you focus on the word count after. Don't focus on the word count first. It's a common mistake. Bloggers think, I have to write 1,500 words, and they're not thinking practically. They're not considering publishing useful content. It's just all about word count. You run into bloated posts. There's no helpfulness. In terms of true helpfulness, maybe rambling opinions. And you're looking at it and you're like, this post didn't help me. It was 1,200, 2,000 words of nothing that I could seize, understand and use to benefit me. There's no usefulness there, so they won't come back to your blog. And rightfully so. So practical first, then you want to think word count after, set up your outline, 1,500, 1,200, something like that. Clear, concise, to the point, and you have yourself the recipe for a successful post. And when you replicate that strategy, you'll build a rockin' blog. That's it for today, guys. Stop by bloggingfromparadise.com for smart blogging tips, a little under 10 minutes. That works. Until next time, you know what to do. Enjoy Paradise All.